So, slept pretty good last night. There was a train that was relatively close by that came through a couple times. I could hear like ATVs from the road that I walked in on. And right at sunset, there was some guy, sounded like he was shouting for his dog or whatever, but no other hikers came up behind me, and I never heard it rain again after that first wave. So got up a little bit early today to try to make up for a little bit of the miles that I lost because I stopped early because of the rain, and also want to try to make the most of today because I think my friend's taking a Nero today, like 6 miles. So probably won't catch up to him today because it'll still be like 40 miles from where I started, but maybe tomorrow. I am just thinking about doing a short road walk to either go to like a little cafe or a community center that has outlets so I can charge my phone. This section all the way up until like almost 200 miles, there's not really any towns. There's one like ranch resort in the middle that I sent a package to, but I don't plan on staying there, so might recharge there, but I want to try to keep things topped off as much as I can. So probably gonna be another long day. My right foot has a big blister on it that said kind of up toward the ball of my feet and my toes. It doesn't seem wanting to go away. It keeps, I pop it and then it just fills back up. So could use a good zero here someday to really let my feet recover. Leaving Chandler Slough where I slept last night, and I have about a 3-mile road walk until I get back to some trail. So the road walk has been mostly next to these farms and just pastures and stuff. But it comes up here to Highway 98. You can probably hear the road noise, see a little bit of traffic. It seems like a pretty busy road. You have to walk on it for at least a little bit, but if you want to go to the deli, you have to stay on it for probably 3 or 4 miles. So I think I'm going to skip the deli because I really don't want to road walk that if I don't have to, and I don't really need the deli. This is Highway 98. It's not super busy, but and there's a good sized shoulder to walk on, but I wouldn't want to walk on this longer than I have to. I mean, if you want to go to the deli, you can go to the deli, but I'm gonna get off into the actual trail away from all the noise. This is a really pretty section in here. Bunch of different like wading birds, and there's like swampy moss and stuff, but these cars kind of ruin it. So I just went into the Chandler Slough West site at the end of that 3-mile road walk, and January 20th, and it's definitely hunting season for today, if not longer. There's a stile right at the front with a water cache, and I crossed over that, and there was 2 hunters right behind me with shotguns getting ready to go after something. I didn't think to ask them what they were hunting, but it's definitely a good reminder to wear orange. Said I recommend the orange Florida Trail hat, and then have a orange bandana hanging off your backpack. Stay visible. So I did take the low water route just because there was a fork and I wasn't exactly sure if I needed to take the low water route. So if I really wanted to, I could put my Crocs on and go through this and, you know, keep my feet dry and take the socks off and all that, but that sounds like a pain. So I'm probably just gonna get my feet wet. It's early in the day, so not a big deal. Just sucked though, I put new socks on today, but that was mostly for trying to keep my blister clean. It's definitely the prettiest section of trail since Big Cypress, but it's also a little bit nicer since you're not walking knee deep in water and mud. It kind of cuts in and out with road walks here and there. You know, from the one I slept at, there was a 3-mile road walk to this one. But I think after I get past this next road, it's mostly continuous and not a lot of roads or towns for the next 150 miles or so. So one of the things that I think people underestimate or maybe just ignore is when you start out a trail, you only want to do, you know, it depends on the trail and the terrain, the difficulty, but like for the AT, you don't want to do more than 8 or 10 miles. Out here, you can probably stretch it to like maybe 12 or 15, because it's all, I mean, with the exception of Big Cypress, I would probably do 10 or 12 in there. But anyway, and I think a lot of people just think like you're not going to be physically able to do more than that, and that's not the case. It's basically so that your body can adapt to its new environment. If you go, like I always say, like my muscles never get tired when I first start a hike, and you know, maybe that's different from other people, but what does get tired and worked out is your tendons, like your Achilles, your whatever's behind your knee. For me, that gets worked out a lot. The you know, you're trying to build up calluses on the bottom of your feet. You're trying to make it to where you don't wake up day 2 and you have a bunch of blisters, Achilles tendonitis, cramping, sore muscles. Like, you're trying to slowly ease your body into this lifestyle, and it kind of sucks because you're like, well, I'm stopping so early. I could have hiked for 5 more hours. I could have done 10 more miles. And I think you just have to have patience and give it time, because once you start developing those issues, it's really hard to let them heal because you're constantly walking, and you don't really want to take like 3 or 4 zeros in a row, pay for a bunch of hotel rooms, get behind people that maybe you wanted to hike with, just so you can keep walking. So if you can prevent that stuff from happening in the first place, or at least manage it slowly so that you only have 1 blister or a little bit of soreness, or, you know, stuff like that. And then after, I'd say about like 2 weeks, you know, your shoes are broken in, your muscles are, you know, used to it, the soreness starts to go away, and then you can kind of crank up and do your more traditional mileage of what you feel like you're capable of. But like I said, a lot of people ignore that because they're just excited and want to hike and, you know, see new things and do, you know, they feel like, oh, I got 1,000 miles to go, 2,000 miles to go. I can't just do 8 the first day. But like I said, the advice is there for a reason. I would recommend listening to it. And that's coming from somebody who's done thousands of miles of trails. Like, if you've been off trail for 4 months, you don't have hiker legs, your calluses have gone away, like, you're starting from zero again. So I think you can adjust quicker than somebody that's never done it before, but you still have to adjust. And it's going to be different if you're one of the people that does some of this leg work, I guess, pun unintended. But if you do some of this leg work at home by breaking in your shoes, walking 2 to 5 miles a day, going out to some trails with some weight on your backpack, doing that kind of stuff before you get out there, then maybe when you first start, you can, if you've been doing that stuff for a couple weeks or a month or so, when you get out there, maybe you can start strong. But this is what I'm talking about. People needing to go 8 or 10 miles is the people who haven't done that, who are just basically coming off the couch, starting day one, and haven't done any physical preparation. I'm walking about 0.4 up this road to go to a kind of an abandoned building community center. It has power outlets. Done about 10 miles today, so I'm gonna take a foot break, kind of a lunch break, and then charge up some electronics and then head back to trail. That's the building there. This is the building here. Not sure where the outlet is. I think somebody said maybe on the playground. You can tell. Well, you can't see it on camera, it reflects, but it's empty inside. There's a pavilion back here. There it is. Well, I'll open it in a second. There's also a water fountain, trash can. Good little place to hang out. So it ended up being about a 45-minute break. And I got my power bank charged all the way back up. I got my Garmin pretty much charged up, my headlamp. My phone, for whatever reason, didn't want to charge. Like, it's capable of charging at like 30 watts. And I have an app that tells me how much power it gets while it's charging. And I could only get like 8. I had to stop and help that guy in the car for a second. He was looking for a campsite. And I don't think it's anywhere around here. But anyway, I was... Basically, the issue I was having, it was my phone should be charging at like 25 or 30 watts, and that means it would charge in like an hour, but for whatever reason, I was only getting like 7 or 8, so it was taking 2 or 3 times longer to charge, and I don't know what causes that. My cables are rated for 240 watts, my charger is rated for like 90 watts. Like I said, my phone can take 30, so I don't know if it's just the outlet or I don't know. So I didn't charge my phone as much as I'd like, but I should be good with the power bank. I also put on some new dry socks. I have no idea if they're gonna get wet again, but I want to try to keep my feet and blisters to a minimum. And then the insoles that came with the shoes I bought, I swapped out to my other ones. I had to cut them up a little bit to get them to fit, but I want to see if that also maybe helps a little bit as well. So I'm rested. I ate a lot of Cheez-Its and goldfish for lunch, and I'm gonna try to knock out a bunch of miles. Still hasn't rained yet. It's a little chilly. It's not as windy as it was yesterday. So I'm hoping that the rain does hold off and I can hike all the way close to sunset and make quite a good amount of miles, especially on this soft terrain. These are not hiker trash oranges. These are actually like native citrus trees. That one. That one. To be honest. Oh yeah, huh? See those there. Kind of hard to see with the sky there, but orange trees. This is definitely a cool place. Kind of oscillates between these grasslands, and then there's like this really cool, I don't know what you call that, pond. I'm sure there's some gators in there, but it's just like this little open area, and then you go back inside. It feels like a different country. Like it feels like Panama or something. Not that I've ever been there, but just very tropical and doesn't feel like what I imagined Florida to be like. There's all these palms and like moss up on the trees. Said there was those citrus trees earlier, and it just feels way different than anything so far that I've seen. Really cool place. Been following this fence line here for, it seems like a couple miles at least. I think there's a grassland or something out that way, but it's all, you know, brushy here. It's a little tricky, or a little slow, because this ground is all kinds of like rutted, so you're like almost twisting your ankle, stepping on like potholes that you can't see. The grass is a little high, and then some sections will come up on like kind of this really thick mud. It's kind of mud you can walk on, but it kind of at the same time is doesn't stick to your shoes, but just slows you down stepping on it. Whoever owns the property over there though has like perfectly maintained cut grass that would be really nice to walk on. I mean, look at that. It's way better than over here. So kind of hoping it goes back into the citrus trees and palms and stuff again. I'm sure it does eventually, but for right now we've been doing the grass walk. The grass is not always greener on the other side, but sometimes it is a lot shorter. Just got back from that into the palms and citrus again. I'm glad to see the bench. I'm gonna take a short break here, take off my fleece because it's getting a little bit warm, and keep going. Not sure if that guy's hunting or what, but looks like he's riding around on an airboat out there. I've seen all the birds flying up from him riding, and you can obviously hear it from a mile away. this thing. This tree, I don't know how this thing is even staying up. These giant limbs, the size of trees themselves. The ones at the bottom down here are bigger than the ones up there. And that one over there is like, well, that one's in the ground right there at the edge. Crazy. So this campsite is pretty nice. This campsite's pretty nice. It's got fire pit grill there, and then picnic table, another fire ring. It's nicely mowed down. There's giant trees for shade. Plenty of space for tents. It's a pretty good wind block with all the grasses and stuff. And it's right on the trail. So this would be a great place to camp. Got a little bit more road walking, about 3 miles from where I'm gonna camp tonight. I think maybe less than half of that is on the road. I can't imagine that this sand is what is naturally here. I don't see anything over there. I just don't understand why it's here. I mean, it's piled everywhere. It's like walking in snow. The only thing I can think of is they're trying to kill this grass. But I feel like there would be more effective ways of doing that. And I don't know if they're just trying to make it more comfortable to walk on, which I also find hard to believe, because there's easier ways of doing that. I was just like, you know, cut the grass short. That would be plenty enough comfortable. But yeah, there's just like giant mounds of it. And yeah, I don't get it. This is not something you see every day. Porta potty. I mean, it is at a trailhead, but still, it's nice. Picnic pavilion. It says no camping, but it's a nice place to take a break. There's a big tree. Lots of views out that way.